That morning, I was convinced missing my job interview would be the worst thing to happen to me all year. I had no idea it would actually save me from walking into something dangerous, and lead me straight to the people who'd changed my life forever. I moved to New York with 2 bags, a laptop, and a head full of pressure. I was 24, out of college for a year, and dead set on building something better than what I came from. The job hunt? Brutal. I'd been crashing in a shared apartment with 3 guys I met off Craigslist, burning through my savings like napkins. My parents were doing their best from Ohio. Small Venmo transfers, awkward. "How's it going?" calls, but I knew I was circling the drain. Then out of nowhere, one night at 11:41 p.m., I got an email that looked different. A company, let's call it Prime Access, not the real name, reached out. Said they needed someone for admin work ASAP. Saw my resume online. Asked if I could make it to a 9:30 a.m. interview the next morning. I said yes before even thinking. I didn't sleep much. At 8 a.m. I was out the door, cheap dress shirt, one good tie, printed resume in a plastic sleeve. I couldn't afford the subway, so I started walking. 8 blocks in, I was running late. I turned a corner too fast and clipped a shoulder, hard. I stumbled back, heard a voice go, "Watch it!" And when I looked up, it was 2 NYPD officers headed to their car. I immediately raised my hands, apologizing, breathless. One of them grabbed my elbow like I was trying to sprint away, but I told them I had an interview. I was late. I was just trying to get to Prime Access. "Where's that?" the older one asked, squinting at me. "Like 8 blocks up, I think. Midtown East. I'm not from here." They looked at each other. "Hop in," one of them said. I blinked. "What? You're not getting there running. You look like you're about to pass out. Come on." I hesitated for half a second and then got in the back of the cruiser. They asked where I was from, what kind of job it was, if I liked the city. I was nervous, rambling, grateful. We pulled up to the address around 9:26. "Good luck," the younger cop said, giving me a thumbs up. "Get that job." I got out of the car, adjusted my tie, turned around, and froze. 3 guys came flying out of the building I was supposed to walk into. Hoodies, backpacks, sprinting. One of them looked back, saw the cops behind me, and bolted down the side alley. "Hey!" one officer yelled, already out of the car. They both took off after them. I stood there, completely thrown. My interview was in that building. My stomach dropped. The older cop came back first, looking a little confused. "You sure this is the place?" he asked, glancing up at the building. I nodded, pulled out my phone, showed him the address. He tilted his head. "Huh. Weird. This is a residential building. No offices here, far as I know." The younger one caught up, overhearing. "You want to check inside?" I nodded again, heart pounding, and we walked in together. The doorman looked puzzled when I asked about Prime Access. He said no such office existed, never had. We even asked to check the floor mentioned in the email, but there was nothing. No name on the mailbox, no sign, just empty hallways and locked doors. We stood in silence for a beat, and then walked back out to the street. I stood there on the sidewalk feeling like a damn idiot. My shirt was stuck to my back with sweat, tie crooked, resume folder limp in my hands. The older cop looked at me, then back up at the building like maybe he missed something obvious. "Strange," he muttered. "Definitely not an office address." The younger one nodded slowly. "Looks like a regular apartment building. You sure this is where the email said to go?" I showed them the email again. They didn't say anything, but the silence said enough. Scam. Or something worse. I felt the bottom drop out of me, like every stupid hope I had for the day cracked in half. I looked down at the sidewalk, tried to gather myself, when the younger cop said, "Hey, listen, my cousin works HR at a logistics firm nearby. Not fancy, but solid. They're usually looking for clerks, admin support, entry stuff. You want me to give her a call?" I looked up, stunned. "I mean, yeah? Yeah, I'd really appreciate that." He stepped aside, made the call, talked for maybe a minute, and waved me over. "She said if you can get there in 10 minutes, she'll meet you in the lobby. Her name's Lila. Just a quick intro, no promises, but it's something." I thanked them both, genuinely, and then paused. I was already drained. How far is it? Couple blocks, the older one said. Hop back in. We'll drop you on the way to the station. And they did. 10 minutes later I was stepping out in front of a red brick office building with a blue awning. Lila was already downstairs, looking at her phone. She smiled when she saw me. That was the first time in weeks I felt like I was in the right place. Lila brought me upstairs through a narrow hallway with flickering fluorescent lights and that faint office carpet smell I hadn't realized I missed. She didn't waste time, just asked for my resume, gave it a glance, and said, "I don't think we've got anything that matches, honestly. You're not really a logistics guy, huh?" I nodded, trying not to look crushed. "But," she added, "I do know someone upstairs looking for junior clerks. They're not my department, but I can ask." I didn't even have time to answer before she was already on the phone. "Hey, you still need entry levels? I got a guy here." "Yeah, resume looks decent." "Yeah? Okay. Sending him up." She hung up and pointed at the elevator. 7th floor. Look for a sign that says Ridgemont Partners. Don't let the name scare you, they mostly handle import documentation and audits. I thanked her again and hit the elevator button before my brain had a chance to spin out. The 7th floor was quiet, bright. A guy in a maroon button-up met me in the hallway and asked if I was the walk-in. I nodded, and we sat down in a tiny glass meeting room with a broken whiteboard and dry erase markers that didn't work. He skimmed my resume again, asked about my college major, if I could type fast, if I knew how to organize digital files. I answered everything honestly. Told him I didn't have direct experience, but I was quick, focused, and honestly just needed someone to take a chance. He asked one more question that stuck with me. "Why'd you end up here?" I hesitated, then told him the story. The fake email, the empty office, the cops. All of it. I don't know why I told him. Maybe because it felt too weird not to. Maybe because I was too tired to lie. He laughed, not in a mean way, just kind of stunned. "That's the wildest pre-interview story I've ever heard," he said. "But you still showed up." I shrugged. "Had to." He nodded slowly, thoughtful. "Give me a second." He stepped out, left me staring at the dead whiteboard and my own sweaty reflection in the glass. 2 minutes later he came back. "Okay," he said. "It's not full-time yet. Probation period. But we need someone in data entry and support. If you're serious, come back Monday morning 9 a.m. Bring ID. We'll get you started." I couldn't even speak. Just nodded. He smiled. Sometimes weird days turn out okay. And just like that, I had a job. I left the building in a daze, the paper with the address and start time clutched in my hand like it might disappear if I let go. I didn't even remember the walk home. My mind kept playing back the last few hours like some fever dream. Fake interview, NYPD cruiser, accidental scam, a stranger's kindness, and now, a job. It didn't feel real yet. Back at the apartment, my roommates were arguing over takeout or frozen burritos. I didn't even join in. Just went to the bedroom, closed the door, and sat on my mattress, staring at the wall. It hit me slowly, not as a cheer or some explosion of relief, but like a calm wave crawling up my chest. Something worked out. For once, something went right. Monday came fast. I showed up in the same shirt, freshly washed, shoes still scuffed but clean. The lobby security guy recognized me. "Back again?" he asked. "Guess I made the cut," I said, and he chuckled, waving me through. Ridgemont's office looked different now. Less intimidating. The guy from Friday. His name was Harris, I learned, showed me to a cubicle with a dusty monitor and a drawer full of leftover pens. "Start slow," he said. "Get to know the system. Ask questions. No one's gonna bite." The first week was a blur of logins, training modules, and trying not to mess up. I messed up anyway. Missed the code on an invoice. Forgot to log out of the system. But no one snapped. No one made me feel like I didn't belong. Lila checked in once, just to see how I was doing. "They like you," she said with a smile. "That's rare." I stayed late most nights, not because anyone asked me to, but because I wanted to earn it. I wasn't going to waste this shot. A few weeks in, I got my first paycheck. I stared at it longer than I should have, not because it was huge, but because it meant stability. It meant groceries without counting coins. It meant I wouldn't have to move back home and admit defeat. It meant maybe, just maybe, I had a place here. Lila and I started grabbing lunch together once a week. Turns out she liked crossword puzzles and had a sarcastic streak I didn't expect. We didn't talk about the job much. Mostly just life, bad dates, old dreams, dumb stuff like whether it's okay to put ketchup on eggs. By month 3, I wasn't the new guy anymore. I wasn't floating. I was learning, contributing, getting pulled into meetings. One afternoon, Harris slapped a folder on my desk and said, "Think you're ready to handle this one?" I opened it. It was a full shipment audit, double the usual workload. I looked up at him. "Yeah," I said. "I got it." He nodded and walked away. That night, as I rode the elevator down alone, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirrored wall, tie slightly crooked, eyes tired, but standing taller than I had in months. I didn't land the job I thought I was chasing, but I landed where I needed to be. Because of a couple of NYPD officers who didn't have to care. Because of a woman who didn't owe me a favor. Because sometimes, even on the worst days, life throws you a lifeline. You just have to grab it. I was 25, working the night shift at a bar in downtown Cincinnati, and living in the kind of one-bedroom apartment where the bathroom fan sounds like a small helicopter trying to take off. The tips were okay, the regulars were loud, and I smelled like beer more often than I didn't. But I was trying to claw my way towards something better. During the day, when I wasn't dead asleep, I was taking online courses in graphic design. Not because I had some grand plan, but because it made me feel like I was moving. Like I wasn't just stuck on loop, pouring drinks and nodding through stories I'd heard 100 times. I'd started the courses during lockdown and over time, fell in love with it. Fonts, negative space, layout balance, it clicked in a way school never had. I just wrapped up a full course on UI design and had spent the last 2 weeks building a sample portfolio. It wasn't anything crazy, just a fake app design, a couple of landing pages for made-up companies, and a resume I'd rewritten 6 times. It was all stored on a cheap red flash drive I'd gotten from a career fair booth 2 years ago. One Monday, my one actual day off, I headed to this quiet cafe I liked. They had a community computer hooked up to a big screen you could plug into, and I used it to mock up a presentation layout. I worked for hours. Ordered a cappuccino, then a second one. Lost track of time. By the time I packed up, it was dark outside. My headphones were still in, and I had 2 unread texts from my manager about a shift swap. I tossed my notebook into my backpack and left. The next morning, I woke up with that slow, sinking feeling that something wasn't right. It hit me halfway through brushing my teeth. The flash drive. I never unplugged it. I sprinted to my bag, tore everything out. Nothing. I felt sick. All that work. Gone. The designs weren't backed up anywhere. I'd planned to do it that night. Classic, right? I walked back to the cafe like I was on autopilot, already rehearsing how to ask if anyone had turned in a red flash drive. I didn't expect anything. I was already angry at myself for being careless. Already imagining starting over from scratch. But when I walked in, the guy at the counter looked up and said, "Hey, you're Trevor, right?" My stomach dropped. "Yeah." He smiled and nodded toward a table in the back. "That guy said he's waiting for you." I turned and saw a guy maybe a few years older than me, dark hoodie, black-rimmed glasses, laptop open in front of him. He looked up, gave a small wave, and held up my flash drive. "You left this yesterday," he said. "Didn't want to just leave it with the staff." I walked over, blinking. "Wait, how do you know my name?" He grinned. "Your resume was on the drive. Figured it might help find you if it got lost." I felt my face go hot. "Right. Shit, I didn't mean for anyone to..." "Relax, man." He cut in, friendly. "Your work's good. Really good." He gestured to the seat across from him. "Sit for a sec?" I sat. Still in that weird daze where your brain can't decide between being relieved or embarrassed. He introduced himself as Nate. Said he was a freelance designer, mostly branding and UI stuff, worked with startups out of Chicago and some here in Cincy. I've been doing this since 2017, he said, sipping his coffee. And I can tell when someone gets it. You've got a feel for it. It's not polished yet, but the instincts are there. I think I just blinked at him. Compliments like that weren't common in the bar world. Thanks. I mean, seriously. That means a lot. You looking for full-time work? He asked. Yeah, I said, almost too fast. Just finished a course. Haven't even applied anywhere yet. He tilted his head. Well, I've got a client who's been trying to pull me in full-time. I keep turning it down. It's not for me, but they've got openings for junior designers. Entry level. Benefits. Not the highest salary, but solid. I must have looked like I didn't believe him, because he added, Look, I'm not promising anything. But I can text their creative lead and see if they'll talk to you. You'd do that? You've got something, he said simply. And someone helped me once too. 10 minutes later, he texted me a name and an address. Tomorrow. 10 a.m. Don't be late. And dress like you own at least one clean shirt. I laughed. A little too loud. Because for the first time in months, it felt like something was breaking through the fog. Like maybe, just maybe, losing that flash drive was the best mistake I ever made. The next morning I was at that office 10 minutes early, wearing the cleanest button-up I owned, hair slightly damp from rushing through the shower, palms a little sweaty. The company was in a modest 2-story building with a giant mural of abstract shapes on the outside. Cool in that way that didn't feel try-hard. Inside, I told the receptionist I was here to see Justin, Nate's contact, and she pointed me toward a meeting room with glass walls and a table too sleek for its own good. Justin walked in 2 minutes later. Mid-30s, sleeves rolled, tattoo on one arm half covered by a smartwatch. He looked me up and down, not unkindly, just assessing. You're Sam, right? Nate's guy? Yeah, I said. Thanks for seeing me. He waved it off. Nate doesn't vouch for just anyone, so let's see what you've got. We sat. He had me open my portfolio on one of their tablets, and for the next 20 minutes, I walked him through every piece I had. He didn't say much at first, just nodded, asked small questions. Then halfway through one of my redesigns for a fake travel app, he leaned forward and said, Okay, stop. This is smart. You thought through the user flow. Most junior guys skip that. I tried not to grin. Thanks. I wanted it to feel intuitive. It does. And it looks good. Not perfect, but that comes with time. He leaned back, studying me for a second. You said you're new to this? Just finished a bootcamp online. Self-taught before that. Been bartending nights. Good, he said. You've had real-world chaos. That helps. He stood, extended his hand. I can't promise anything long-term yet, but how about a 3-month contract? We'll pay you. Mentor you. If it works out, we talk full-time. I stood so fast I almost knocked the chair back. Yes. I mean, yeah? Absolutely. Thank you. He grinned. See you Monday. I walked out into the sun blinking like I hadn't seen daylight in weeks. I called Nate before I even got to the corner. Dude, I said. They offered me a 3-month contract. Told you, he said. Just don't make me look bad. Not a chance. That afternoon I bought myself a cheap slice of pizza and ate it on a bench in the park near my apartment. I watched pigeons fight over crumbs and felt, for the first time in what felt like forever, that maybe, just maybe, I had finally caught a break. The first week was overwhelming in the best way. I never had a job that required me to sit in meetings, take notes on someone else's design critique, or stay up late tweaking an interface because a UX researcher pointed out something I missed. I made mistakes, plenty of them, but every time I screwed something up, someone like Justin or one of the other designers would pull me aside and explain, not scold. You're not here to be perfect, he told me once. You're here to learn. Just don't make the same mistake twice. So I didn't. I kept a notebook filled with messy sketches, sticky notes, and feedback. I watched tutorials during lunch. I asked questions even when I felt dumb doing it. And slowly, something started to shift. By the 3rd week, Justin handed me a full landing page project to own. Nothing big, Just a small campaign for a partner brand, but it was mine. I stayed late every night working on it, making sure the spacing was tight, the buttons felt natural, and the visuals actually spoke the language of the client. When I presented it at the Friday design review, my hands were shaking. But Justin nodded through most of it, and at the end said, "Solid work, Sam. Real solid." That night I texted Nate. "They liked my work. I think I'm actually doing this." He sent back a thumbs up and a "Told you. Proud of you." We grabbed burgers that weekend, and for the first time, I realized he wasn't just the guy who found my flash drive, he was a friend. He asked about my projects, told me about a nightmare client he was dropping, and then casually mentioned a conference happening in a few months. "You should come," he said. "It's for junior designers, workshops and stuff. Could be good." "I don't know if I'm ready for that." "You're more ready than you think." The next Monday, Lila from HR pulled me aside. "Justin's putting in a recommendation to extend your contract past 3 months. Just a heads up." I think I floated out of that building that day. It wasn't about the job anymore. It was about the fact that someone saw me, really saw what I could be, and gave me a shot. And I wasn't wasting it. Subscribe, hit the like button, and explore more fascinating stories.